Hello, welcome to Trading the Close. My name is Lawton Ho.
And I'm Drew Dosick.
And we are the two best looking members of the Verified Investing Trading Team. And as always, we are going to cover the markets. I mean, Gareth's not here, right?
Gareth's out of town. He's going to be back on Monday. Don't fret, everybody. He's enjoying some R&R like he's very well deserved.
Yeah, and yesterday we had a crazy day, end of the markets, right? Huge fall. I mean, Drew, tell me a little bit about what's happening today.
Today, let's head on over to the heat map and check it out. All right, so we see here what just happened a moment ago. The spiders flashed negative, but then they just pop back up positive. Usually when we have such a big fall in the markets, we typically have a reflex bounce the next day. We see that didn't really happen. It was basically a dead cat bounce. But the Dow Jones did post a day positive, first day in 10 days that it did post a positive. We have the NASDAQ that finished up 0.27%. S&P is up 0.14%. Oil continues down, which is good for inflation for 2025. Gold actually upticked, the dollar upticked too, and Bitcoin finally broke that $100,000 mark. As I was mentioning to that yesterday, once we're knocking on that door and we continue to knock on that door, likelihood was that we were going to go ahead and pierce and break through. Support levels are going to be covered by Lawton here in a minute, but we step back to the heat map. We notice there's a lot of green, very different than yesterday, right? But the green areas that we have are very minor increases. Nvidia stands out though for the day, up 1.89%. Google had a nice pop. Meta also had a nice pop too, about 0.56%. The transports though are a little bit under pressure. Tesla's under pressure. So overall, it's just kind of a mixed bag, and it's not really a robust rally that we're seeing.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, Drew, what happened last time? We know on August 5th, I believe, everything came crashing down a little bit. Yep. I mean, how did the rebound the following day compare to today?
Yeah, great question. So here, I've got the spider chart right here. Actually, this is the SPX. To go over that in particular, I want to bring up the spiders. This is the SPY, the ETF that follows the S&P 500. If you notice here, I've circled two areas on the chart. This is highlighting the volume that occurred on both of these days. Lawton asked about August 5th, which is right here. And as you notice, we had three huge sell-off days coming into this trend line support. Volume spiked up, over 140 million shares were traded, and then off to the upside we went. We never came right back down to that price again. If you notice over here, this bar and this bar are the two highest bars in all of recent history on the chart. So when this sort of volume comes in, that shows conviction. So much like this move where we had high volume pushing price up, this high volume is likely going to work inversely and start pushing price down. Since price action opened up here and then closed all the way down here, that implies that this bar right now is controlling all the power of price moving forward. The line in the sand to beat, if we are to continue to go up, is going to be the top end of this bar. Otherwise, the likelihood and the least resistance path forward is going to be down. The next areas of support we're already bumping into some support right here. We have another area of support just in this area that also coincides roughly with the inclining trend line. So that's what I see on the spiders. It looks like we're going to be heading further down.
I mean, that's super interesting, but I mean, I've heard for the past year, it's a bull run, it's a bull run, it's a bull run. Does this mean it's over? Are the bears in control now, or is there still opportunity to run?
There's still opportunity to run. And really once everything fully changes, this low is going to be beaten. Because what we have here is it's a higher low, right? And so the trend is continuing up. We have a low here, a higher low here, a higher low here, a higher low here, higher low here, currently still a higher low. So once we put in a low beneath this, that doesn't mean the floodgates are going to open up. Again, this is all in probabilities, and probabilities are then still going to dictate even further that the likelihood is going to go down in the future for the spiders.
All right, cool. I mean, I see a lot of charts up there,
yeah.
Drew, so I'll let you get at it.
All right, great. So here I wanted to point out too on the SPX, which is also the S&P 500. Notice on this parallel channel that I have created, we did break this parallel channel, and notice that we're closing right beneath the previous candle. What this does is that's a confirming move down, which then also, again with probabilities, increases the probabilities that we're going to continue down further, eclipsing this low. So breaking this area is very important with this parallel, but then confirming and breaking this is the very next test. I wouldn't be surprised though, especially over the holiday season that's coming up, for us to have lighter volume potentially float up. And if we do so, we're going to run right back up into this area and the trend line of the parallel right here, which is going to be resistance for then falling back down further.
So if I'm a trader though, what does this mean for me? How can I make money when the market moves like this?
Well, a couple things. Follow these lines. These lines mean everything, not only the trend lines, but then the candle bars, much like I highlighted before, as well as the volume. The volume shows that there's conviction behind the move, and then just follow this candle. If trading starts coming up and then breaching the top of this candle, that tells you that we're going to start going up higher. I just make things simple because trading and analyzing the stocks can be awfully confusing. There's so much data and information. If I can just narrow it down to one or two things that I really hone in on, and then that helps me determine which way the markets are going to go, it really helps me make profitable trades. So for this one, on the Qs, I wanted to point out yesterday we had this huge fall on the FOMC with Jerome Powell. We were trying to find different levels of support. There was a gap fill that was blown through. This gap fill ended up getting tagged, but ultimately one of the main reasons that price did stop declining when it did at the very end of the day yesterday was this trend line. This trend line that was connected all the way down to the August 5th low over to this pivot, connected through these pivots, and right here you could see price accelerated and stopped right here on that trend line. Technical Analysis 101, this stuff's amazing. You can find and isolate areas on the charts where price is likely to stop, and that is so very important, especially if you're shorting the market or if you're interested in going long. These areas provide that opportunity. If you see right here, if you did go long right here on this trend line, you could have capitalized for a small gain this morning. So these trend lines really do help you make money, understand the charts, and really anticipate what the next move's going to be. This next chart that I have is for the Dow Jones transports. And the reason I bring this up is because of this candle right here. This is on the monthly time frame. The Dow Jones transports, why it's so important is because all of our goods come through transportation. And so when transportation companies are doing well, that also means the economy is likely doing well. So on this monthly chart, we posted a topping tail right here at the very end of 2021. Since this time frame, this topping tail has not been eclipsed. And you see, we did try to make an attempt to do so last month, but over this month in December, we are coming straight down, coming back into this wedge. And if we do, it is almost like a bull trap, making price go above this trend line that has held price down for the longest time, and now price is coming back down. The next area of support is going to be the bottom side of this trend line, and if that price gets broken, watch out for the economy. We'll be in for some tough shape.
Cool. Yeah, I'm actually going to talk about Bitcoin now.
Hop on it.
Let's see here. Okay, guys, so if you're paying attention on Monday, I said that it actually touched the top of this parallel channel that Gareth had drawn at around that 108 level. So it hit that and has pulled back since, and it has finally broke that $100,000 level. I mean, so what are the next areas of support for this thing? Well, you see there's a bunch of pivots over here around the 90,000 level that could prove as some support, but if it flushes through, you might go all the way down to around the $73,000 level. I mean, so
it's very important. And I've heard a lot of people say, oh man, it's different now. Bitcoin has been adopted by countries, it's been adopted by states. Yes and no. Anything that's charted can move the way it has historically. It can move that way in the future. Bitcoin has seen corrections of 60–70%. Crypto has too. So don't think that that can't happen with Bitcoin moving forward. Are there more potential players in that field? Maybe, but they may also be looking for the exit just like everyone else. So
yeah.
All right. So here's the DXY with the dollar. Yesterday I talked about how we were breaking this trend line. And we were moving up higher off of the FOMC. What I did is I developed a parallel channel to contain the price. One of the things I like to do when I make parallels is I like to see whenever I create the parallel from pivot to pivot to pivot. You need 3 pivots to make a parallel, but I like to see after I've created it if this middle dotted line that you see going up through the screen is reacted to by the price, and meaning that if the price comes up into it, if it's held, if it's coming down into it, if it's held, pauses before it breaks through. And we can see here that's almost exactly what's occurring. We've had price come up right into the dotted line, mainly just trailed it for most of the existence of the early part of the parallel, came right back down, made another attempt, busted through it, came back down, got a bounce on the dotted line, and then now we're starting to approach that dotted line again. So that tells me this area is resistance on the DXY chart. We should potentially, if we're going to go higher, maybe trail this dotted line up over the coming days. And then if we're going to fall down again, this yellow trend line is the support, followed by this inclining portion of the parallel channel.
And a quick question for you, Drew. So how does the US dollar usually trade in relation to the S&P and stock market in general?
Well, it's got so many variables, right? Because we're talking about trade with other countries. The S&P 500 doesn't exactly go tick for tick on one way or the other with the dollar, so it's kind of hard to say. But usually, whenever the dollar is heading higher, the stock market can start to go a little bit lower. When the dollar's cheaper, the prices of the stocks and everything can start going higher too. So it's not always 100%. That's a good question, but there's so many other variables that can dictate the value of the dollar. Much like gold. Gold doesn't go tick for tick with the dollar. There's other tangibles in there, such as demand for gold, where they're mining, the cost of mining that gold. So there's a lot of variables that go into it. But yesterday and after the FOMC, one of the easy ways to kind of see where the dollar is going is what gold's doing. And then after that, they start to kind of pan out and get back into their normal routine.
So what is gold doing?
All right, so let's check it out. Gold, last we checked, was going to be going up on the markets, but I brought this new chart to you to show that we've got this trend line that's been holding gold up. And this trend line also, we've got a measured move pattern on gold. Should gold break this trend line like you see is happening now, but it's not confirming down beneath this sell candle, we could have a move all the way down to the top portion of this parallel channel. I said earlier gold is going to have support at 24.50, and that is true. That's where support will be, but measured moves don't always get fulfilled, but they at least give you a general target as to where the price is going to go on a particular stock. So for this, on this commodity, we're looking at maybe even a bottom right around 23.50, but major support's going to be here at 24.50 also. So we may not even reach that measured move. It all depends on the demand of gold in the coming years. And gold, as we know, is in a lot of electronics. So the demand for electronics continues to go up, as I assume too gold will in the future.
We have silver too, right?
Yeah, silver. I didn't touch on silver yesterday, and I wanted to do so today. We've had a fall, as you see, the last several days. We now have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're on now the 9th down day from this pivot. So we have support coming in at $28.23, followed by $26.19. But then we have this inclining trend line, which is going to provide the most support out of all three. The longer term the trend line is, the more support that it's going to provide. So if price does come down in here, and roughly that's sitting about $25, and keep in mind, this is a dynamic trend line, so the longer time takes for the price to get into it, the price of this trend line is going to increase in value. That may even increase to $26.19, depending upon the fashion in which the price gets into this area.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, let me talk about Ethereum really quick while Drew sets up his final charts. So you saw Ethereum go near this year's all-time highs, kind of kissed it over here. Let me see if I can draw on this. Kissed it over here, and then pierced it before falling down. Actually broke this upsloping trend line, and I know it's kind of hard to see the charts behind my head, but you had support around the $3,500 level, completely pierced that. More support around the $3,400 level which is where it's trading around right now, and flush through that. So if that continues to fall, you're looking at support somewhere in the 2,800-ish level for Ethereum.
Yeah, and keep in mind, again, like what I said with the holidays, institutions are kind of slowly stepping away. Retail traders are going to start being more attracted to crypto. Next week with other high flyers like we saw with quantum computing stocks this last week and the week prior, you could start seeing a little bit more momentum in those stocks too. So that these levels where Lawton's just mentioning right there at that 3,400, that could end up being short-term support for the next few trading days. All right, speaking of quantum computing, I've got this stock here called RGTI, Rigetti Computing. Now they're involved in quantum computing space, but they've had an unbelievable run in December, up over 400%, right? So momentum really tallied on and started moving the price up. It all culminated yesterday with a high right under $13. And since then, we have now fallen over 40% on this stock and come back down, touched this $6.92, 50% retrace, and now have closed the day right here at $7.47. If this stock continues with selling pressure, this area 554 followed by 358 are going to be amazing opportunities for a bounce and potentially a long-term hold. Who knows when quantum computing is really going to gain traction and start speeding up and getting utilized by the everyday individual citizen. But when that time comes, if you've already bought right here, likelihood the price is going to be much, much higher when that comes about. And one last chart. I skipped over Tesla yesterday, so let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla, wanted to point this out to you because a lot of folks are involved with Tesla, whether it be from jumping on after the elections. It's just one of those stocks that attracts a lot of attention, right? So we see here November of this year, here was the election date right here. And since then, Tesla's just made a meteoric run up. This parallel channel, if I scroll back on the charts, you can see this parallel channel is containing most of price action all the way back until 2021 in Tesla, over my left shoulder. So this parallel channel, and also what I said about the middle areas of the parallel, notice how when price came down, it bounced right off that middle area, came back through, attempted to come through, and it just didn't get enough muster to go to the bottom, came back up, and then it flirted with the middle line again when coming through. So I know that this parallel is a good parallel channel for this chart. So I zoom back into where we were over the last couple days. Whoop. And slide this back over. And so what you see here is price action is now starting to break down. Ultimately, this pattern on Tesla was inverse head and shoulder pattern with a targeted measured move of $475. The top end of this parallel right here is right around the $500 mark, 505, just over 500. A lot of investors, including myself, were anticipating Tesla to go right up to $500. It's a psychological number. It's something where a lot of people will put their sell orders, and we were waiting for that to be accomplished. It never did because of the inverse head and shoulder pattern that dictated that the measured move was going to happen at 475. Once 475 was breached, the probability started then to increase for a fall in Tesla. And Tesla is now coming down. We have a first level of support at 414 and 50 cents, but then back to the middle area of the parallel channel. This area is going to be the next area of support, and that currently lies under $360, roughly around 345. That's also inclining, so that price could change slightly too. And that's that final chart that I wanted to show.
Cool. And before we close out, we actually have a special word from one of our brand new sponsors, Legacy Network. I actually made a really cool video about it, so check it out, and I'll be back to tell you more about it afterwards. Hey, come check out this app called Legacy Network. It's really cool, and apparently you can totally gamify the way that you learn. I just created an account, and it looks like I'm only level 1. I'm rank 167367. Don't worry, through this series, I'm going to hopefully get to the top 1,000. Fingers crossed. Something really cool about this app that I heard about is that you're able to take courses that help me in real life, and I get rewarded for it. Not only does my character level up, but I also get tokens. So something really interesting to me, first thing that pops out is the business mindset. And look how many modules there are, and apparently this is all free. And I'll get rewarded while learning. So follow me, and hopefully I can level up my character. Yeah, and that was Legacy Network. I mean, such a cool product, and I'm excited to kind of get to use it. So throughout the next couple months or so, you're going to see my journey through using Legacy Network with a new video snippet every single week, maybe 2 a week. So with that being said, I'll invite Drew over, and we'll close.
Yeah, so thanks so much for joining us, guys. Again, this is Lot and Ho. My name's Drew Dosick. Again, Gareth's coming back on Monday. Be ready. He's going to have a lot of information to give to you guys. I'm sure he can't wait to get back into his studio. Thanks again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.